Okay, so for the next half hour, you're going to regale us with your version of magic on the mic. So it's all yours.
Thank you. Today I decided to read from my new book. Last time I did a feature, I did my old, so I'd like to switch it up. So as I mentioned, this is a bit of a memoir in poetry, and read from front to back, it's a story. So I'm going to just kind of jump through it and give you a taste. I'll start with the first poem of the book. It's called Beauty. I was born with a birthmark, shaped like Borinquen, a brown island floating on the sea of my belly, a curiosity under my fingertips. My mother always called my birthmark a beauty mark, turned it from stigma to stunning. When I was 10, a doctor convinced my parents this assemblage of melanin could endanger my future. He cut the small map from my body, stitched edges together, indurated, upended, and pink. With time, the scar became smooth as sea glass, soft and pliable, stretching wide as I grew. By the time I turned 22, the scar embodied the shape of Borinquen, suture marks suggesting surrounding islands, Vieques, Culebra, Mona, Palomino, Icacos, and more. The entire Puerto Rican archipelago etched again in my flesh. And I think I mentioned that Borinquen is the indigenous name of Puerto Rico. And sometimes I write in Spanglish, and if you don't understand Spanish, I just say, don't stop and try to necessarily figure it out, but just enjoy the sounds, the musicality of it, because sometimes the Spanish is partly for that. I'm going to continue with the title poem of the book, A Return Against the Flow. An old man with hair dyed black, like in better days, flashes a toothless smile. He's so proud of his little house for sale, shows me the cramped cocina and soot-filled sala, all built with his very own hands. The children he raised have all gone. He sits on his porch alone, watching Puerto Rico pivot on the point of a pin. Where will you go? I ask. Pa fuera, he spouts, away. I have come to find a home of my own, sink deep in this island that feeds my soul. I'm a car in the bus lane, driving against the flow on a one-way street. People wave wild arms to stop me. Nena, ¿qué tú haces? What are you doing? They can't fathom why I plant feet on cratered streets and entangle myself in an unraveling realm. The worries and warnings cleave my dreams, leave me questioning. I see fresh green sprouting through cracked concrete. They show me old green mold invading houses. I see red stripes in a single star shimmering in an aqua sky. They show me red blood of a nation crushed by promises. Landscapes shift with every turn. A hilltop mansion bathed in gold looks down on a sea of blue FEMA tarps, still topping fractured houses long years after the storm. My mind is a cyclone of queries. How many chickens can run free on urban streets and still call it city? How many feral cats can fit in a vacant house? How many abandoned pups can roam beaches and backroads before the call of the wild turns all to dog eat dog? How can I tell if the sun piercing the mangroves is sunrise or sunset? I pray for answers. I pray for Puerto Rico. A wrinkled viejita in a well-ironed house dress rocks on her porch as I pass, wishes me un buen día, blesses me with her heartfelt bendición, while Preciosa plays softly on the background. This next piece is one of my favorite pieces to read. It's called Better Homes and Gardens, Puerto Rico edition. Ramon had a way with women and words. Introduced me to Lucecita at the corner cafe. Mi amiga, he named me, though we'd barely met. Lucecita Benitez. Her name sparked vinyl memories, eardrums, and soul. Does she still sing? I whispered, a bit too loud. The diva's brow turned angry sea, turned Category 3 hurricane, he quickly calmed. We returned to our coffee, shared stories from niñez till now. He painted pictures in the air, the grand home of his youth, a splash of roses in the garden that his mother loved to tend. We spoke of Spain. If he ever left, that's the place he'd go. Not stateside with its culture, Coca-Cola culture and its biased, blinkered eyes. Pero nah, he wasn't going anywhere, just counting blessings like stars mirrored on the sea. We both loved houses, mourned the ones ripped wide by brutal winds. I laid bare my pockets, shared my front porch dreams. Eye to eye, he vowed to find me my garden of roses, my roof of flamboyant. We wandered San Juan streets, the backstory of each shattered house or empty lot like gossip across a fence. Mira, that full square block in front of Supermax, bought by an investor. Imagine the millions y las palas in their pockets. And that graffitied row on Calle del Parque, coño, they offered un montón, but she won't sell to vultures, flying circles in the sky. We walked a while in silence, shook our heads, watched history unfurl like a lopsided prize fight. My needs are simple, I said. A bath, a bed, a place to cook, close to my family and friends. I'm not afraid to rescue salt-stained walls, polish rusted rails. Como esa. I pointed to a rundown house, caked with cats, choked with vines. Ramon had a way with women and words, clacked the neighbor's door like a clave. Buen dia, señora, he sang, lauding her garden and luck. The winds had spared her wooden house. Her wizened face became that of a girl opening her barred door a little wider. And the house next door, he asked. Ay, mijo, she sighed, shaking her white curled head. Pues, tú sabes, la herencia. We sang the chorus in harmony, ay, 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 la herencia, dead end, sinking us like a tsunami. The laws of inheritance meant to protect orphaned the house, legal title stuttering in the air. Tú sabes, said the señora, tú sabes. Y así the stories begin. So Hurricane Maria happened almost 7 years ago, but it is still just part of vernacular. Everything is impacted by that. So I wrote this poem called A Storm Named Maria. Before the rains sliced like knives, she arrived like a thoughtless guest. Too early, before the yuca was boiled and the table set. She shouted her name from the street, up through the second floor windows, voice like soot streaking drapes. The virtues of her namesake, revered in hallowed halls, disguised her jagged nails and snake-filled hair. She rumbled in, slung her muddy boots and bloat on sofas, poured herself into bedrooms, bent narratives, stained scrapbooks with mold, became backdrop for family photos, became a measure of time, before and after, antes y después. After the rains hacked like machetes, she flew away, tin roofs tied like wings to her scapulae. She huffed her salty breath, left her name etched on walls and trees like an explosion of graffiti. Now, when a lamppost tilts towards the sea, we whisper her name. When the washer overflows, bringing back those flooded days, we whisper her name. When traffic lights refuse to blink and cars jostle at street corners, we whisper her name. When the electric flickers and dies again and again and again, we whisper her name. Inscribed on 4,000 gravestones, Maria is a mourner's rosary, a nightmare from which we can't wake. Yet, at daybreak, she sips café in our kitchens, scratches at our skin to see what we're made of. We don't know her by Doña or Señora, just her naked given name. I'm going to change the temperature a little bit to with this poem. It's called Caldo con Creplach. Great Grandma Ana was a stout woman with peregrine eyes that penetrate from a portrait hanging in my kitchen. Her bearded love sits at her side, eyes gentle as early morning sunlight, a woven straw hat in his calloused hands just before they crossed the Atlantic. I come from wanderers, harvesters of almonds and figs, tailors of torn seams and mis-sewn borders. I don't know all the roots of my kinked brown curls, wonder what tales foremothers might tell as I cook a pot of caldo con creplach. We mingle, migrate, cross continents and seas, reflections in the water like a sketch on wet cement, driftwood and seagrass as substrate. We mix, we morph, we meld, our scaffold a mesh of diasporas, our consonants and contrasts, each adding backbone to keep us from breaking. We are, we be, we become, submerge in the fragrant soup of existence, nascent selfhoods bubbling up like dumplings, fusion of flavors bursting with each exquisite bite. The house on Perez Street. Every year, I wander these streets, dabs of fresh paint and stains of decay equally edging the scene. Restored Moorish arches stand tall beside wooden shacks hacked to their knees by the wind. Abandoned buildings, rusted gates, a vacant lot that no one remembers who owns. A yellow-plumed parakeet pecks at weeds in sidewalk cracks. Aproned neighbors debate what to do, till a doña in a house dress tucks the bird between her ample breasts. Flame-red flor de maga blooms near blue garbage bins. Friday night cerveza cans overflowing like a frozen river in the tropical heat. Every year, I wander these streets, looking for an open door, imagining scent of my sautéed saboya wafting through windows, mingling with machuchal's aromas, asopao and ocean air. A three-legged cat limps across the pavement. Pink vines climb the side of a house. A settee in the marquesina is upholstered in my favorite shade of green. An iron gate swings open. A street sign gleams in the sun. Black letters on tattered white tin, plainly spelling my name. And this is a little bit of backstory on how that happened. It's called Letter Written on a Cloudy Morning with a Cup of Yacono in my hand and Ray Barreto playing on the radio. And that's just the title. My legs stretch wide like a ballerina's jeté. I have finally put in place the bifurcated life we imagined. un sueño de pájaros preñado. My left foot lands among California poppies, lavender and oxalis, named a weed, though I find joy in their yellow-petaled faces and lemon-flavored stems. A rescued pharaoh slinks through tall grass, her calico cat coat still woven with wild. Inside the Oakland bungalow we bought when freshly wed, and the neighborhood was filled with crack houses. There's steady light, a soft bed, a fridge filled with yogurt, tomatoes, and greens. My right foot steps among fallen fruit and leaves of a mango tree, icon of your youth, then stomps roaches that run for cover, scatter in the Caribbean light. There is ajo, cilantro, y cebolla in the kitchen. I finally leaped, querido, into the vision we shared, but that I shredded into cirrus clouds from cumulus billows overhead. I'm sorry, querido. Your wild wings always frightened me, but you were never made for a cold northern cage. I offer amends with my own type of wild, a house bought sight unseen in Borinquen, amada tierra santa, where your ashes have surely settled by now. Fears fly off like seagulls. Sea breeze slaps my face awake. I pinch my arms and thighs. My legs stretch and glide across the globe, glistening like the polished wooden dance floor in California, where two seeds dreaming in the wind we first met. You. And this next poem is a poem of remembrance to my late husband, Jose Perez, to whom I dedicated the book. It's called A mi querido negrito en su día. December 11th arrives, enfogged December 11th arrives, enrobed in fog and missing in the warm cocoon of a cantaloupe room you painted before you became one with the wind, your ashes dancing above Aguadilla. Born in that place of little waters, though some say Aguadilla is not Spanish, but Taíno for garden. Hijo de palmas, orquídeas y olas del mar crashing on ivory sand. Your song ran along stone rivers, Rio Piedras where you grew, sweet mangoes bursting as they rained upon your flat cement roof. I place a slice of that fruit, like a heart, upon your altar, and a flag of your beloved Borinquen unfurled, black and white in a sky like leche de coco that once fed your vibrant flesh. In el cielo, incancara nublado, your soul, still bright, veins the gift of you, like rivulets of molten gold. Mm. Thank you. So let's see, what do we have next? Skip that one for now and go to, yes, so this is taking us down onto the ground in Puerto Rico. It's called Propiedad Horizontal. Te digo, there will be days when you won't have water, naturally divined when I first moved in on the second floor. Layered like stratified stone, our flats are two mirrored halves of an aged concrete structure. Downstairs, Sancha barks, guards Natalie and Nidi's home. The sisters have lived here a dozen years, yet this is the first time los altos y bajos are working as one. We are three graying women. Together, our years gather more than 2 centuries. Our brawn, now waning, has hauled our own altos y bajos across continents. And here we are, nesting on a narrow street in San Juan. Smile blooming on her face, Natalie convenes the first meeting of Mujeres Poderosas por Ayuda Mutua, women united for mutual aid. We revisit the problem of water, The sad story of Irma, bucket in hand, pidiendo bendito un poco de agua. When pipes pulse weakly, water can't reach the second floor. Y la luz, electricity retreating and raging, appliances sparking, groceries rotting, while Luma no hace nada. The infrastructure is a mesh of potholes, sagging lampposts, threads of broken safety nets flapping in the air. Te digo, Natalie says, nadie nos va a cuidar. We, nosotros mismas, are all that we have. We are three graying women living in a gray house from the last millennium. But we look to the future, reach to the sky where nature dangles answers on an island bathed in sun, water, and wind. There's no lack of water here, but rain is lost to damaged dams. Desalination, de-rigor on neighboring islands supplies just smidgens of sweet water here. Sun and wind powers toeholds, tentative and frail. Self-reliance threatens the status quo. Colonialism cultivates dependency to survive. We are mujeres poderosas, more capable together, more powerful knowing self-sufficiency and sovereignty are sisters.
Absolutely beautiful. And you've got time, I think, for one more.
Okay, so I'll read the closing poem, which is called Reasons for Returning, and this is after a poem by Ocean Vuong. A rooster crows in the dark. The first pink rays filter through palm fronds. Un café, a cool cotton bata, mi terraza, el barrio begins to stir. I celebrate waking while the cock thinks nothing of his cuckoo. I write in the peace of dawn while the world flames in war. Words sometimes pour out of me in perfect rhyme, and it's awesome. When you love an island, its sounds become your voice. San Juan's air carries oceans. We carry on. Mercy and compassion are what saves us. I make amends for the messes I've made. This life is the only one I have. The scent of sofrito on Calle Luisa makes me hungry. My favorite telenovela is the neighborhood's gossip. The coquille's song is my favorite lullaby. The storm rains warm on my shoulders. Winter and summer are twins. Bomba and plena scaffold the island's rhythms. Mi amor, multiplied 1,000,000 times, equals family. Graffiti on broken buildings becomes art when you squint just right. For sale signs scrawled in red paint drip like wounds needing healing. The electric grid is a nightmare, but we've learned how to dance in the dark. I hold this fractured island in my heart, unbroken. I made a promise. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I think I'm gonna cry. That was unbelievably beautiful. Susanna, thank you so much for sharing your words and your way. It was absolutely gorgeous. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Stacy, and I really appreciate you and all you do for so many poets.
For those of you who are seeing this on YouTube, if you want to donate to our flow, you can go to www.firesing. I'm sorry. www. I'm gonna have to edit this part out. My brain's not working. Let's try that again. For those of you who are seeing this on YouTube and would like to donate to the Tesoro Flow, you can donate at PayPal at poetswind@hotmail.com. If PayPal does not work for you, then please contact us at www.firesingers.com and we'll figure something out. Susana, again, thank you so much. To everybody who's watching this, regardless of your time zone, of a fantastic whatever season of the day or night it is for you. And myself and Tesoro will most assuredly see you around the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.